With the coronavirus pandemic being a major concern to many people, the Blue Valley School District has created 3 different learning modes for students: virtual, flex, and hybrid, which is the current system for in-person learning. All students follow an alternating odd and even block schedule. In the virtual mode, teachers have each class period split into 2 Zoom sessions, repeating the same material in both. This was done to reduce class conflicts as much as possible. After the Zoom a student initially attends is done, they are released to go to a Zoom meeting for a different class or to work on any asynchronous work.
The virtual ed experience so far this year for me has been oddly similar to fourth quarter. It feels oddly optional even though it isn't, but I do feel more lax than if I was in the school environment with the pandemic going on. Motivation and drive to get assignments done 5 minutes before they're due is really hard because everything is laid out for you so you don't feel the need to go about it piecemeal. Mostly out of health concerns, mostly for my family. My parents are obviously still susceptible to the disease and I obviously don't want to get sick even if I'm not as high of a risk. It definitely doesn't feel as secure being online as it did fourth quarter last year, but I still would prefer it than going in for hybrid or in person because it just feels like the safer alternative.
In the flex model, students have some classes using the virtual ed model and some for the in-person model. On their day or days in the building, these flex students are to report to their in-person classes, then head home for their virtual ed classes. These students follow the guidelines for both of the learning models.
For me personally, I'd rather either be all online or be all in person. So I know online, for me, sometimes I do get distracted, but it is important that we all stay on topic and everything and on task. As for in person, I think some of the risks are that you do expose yourself to things we don't really need to be exposed to. I don't think if we're just going to be on our computers, I don't think there's any reason to be at school and expose ourselves to COVID. I mean, if you're doing like anatomy, let's say, they do dissections and lab stuff, and that I get that we need to be in person for that. That's 100% reasonable. But I mean, like math, I think we can pretty much do on Zoom.
The in-person students are currently operating under a hybrid model in which students are split in half based on last name. Students will be in the building for 2 days in a row, an odd and an even block day. Then the other half of the alphabet will do the same. While in the building, students are required to wear a mask and follow arrows that direct their movement around the building, so students and staff are only moving in one direction around the school. Students still have lunch within the building. There are 11 lunch shifts, with students located in different parts of the school. All 3 locations are set up to maintain social distancing while masks are off for eating. When not in the building, students check in via Zoom with their teachers at the beginning of the hour and complete any work assigned from home.
I'm not really sure how sustainable hybrid is in long term. Like, are we doing this all year? And if that's the case, then it's going to be a lot on teachers, it's going to be a lot on students. It's not just me, right? Like, it's both sides of the coin. And I only see you every 4 days, and I'm rushed on the one day on Zoom I see you. I can't really spend time. And so just really concerned about students falling behind. That's probably my biggest concern, is just making sure that students coming into this hybrid are not feeling that they can't ever catch up. We've been told over and over, we're doing the best that we can with what we have. I believe that, but sometimes I also feel like there's too much vagueness and ambiguity.
Regardless of the chosen learning style, the Blue Valley School District is trying to do its best to keep all students and staff safe while still providing an education. This is Allie Brenneman and Ava Weldy for Husky Headlines.